What's up, family? Welcome to another episode of All Faith, No Fear, where we know fear keeps you in bondage, but faith pushes you to your destiny. I am your host, Rodney Footman. Today, I have very special guests on today. I have the host of High Definition Podcast. How y'all doing today?
What's going on, y'all?
What's good? What's good?
So y'all, they've been in the podcast game for a long time. I actually been following them, and they talk about various topics and very interesting topics. So today we're gonna be talking about a couple of topics, and I love their dialogue that they have. So the dialogue y'all gonna get from this podcast, I'm telling y'all, it might be one of my best podcast episodes this far. But
so you gonna put that?
You know when you want something, you gotta pull it out of somebody. Hey, so you know what I'm saying?
It's all right.
So the two topics that we're going to be talking about, and we're gonna try to intertwine them as much as possible. Is number one is embracing vulnerability and cultivating authentic relationships. And the second one is culture fears and societal perceptions.
Oh, yes.
So I'm gonna start off first by saying I do believe these intertwine, because when it comes with culture fears and societal perception, it's the reason why people cannot have authentic relationships. Mm-hmm. And because again, you got, especially when it comes to societal perceptions, you got all these people telling you this is how it's supposed to be, this is how and a lot of times society makes it feel like you could do everything on your own and you don't need nobody to help you do anything. Mm-hmm. And so like with that, it shuns people away from being authentic and having those authentic relationships, because they trying to chase something of what society has put on us to chase, especially when it comes to men. You know, society has always told us what we supposed to be, what we supposed to do, how we supposed to do it, and all that type of stuff like that. Yeah. But in reality, is that really authentic?
Depends on the how do I say this? It depends on whose definition of what a man is supposed to be. Yeah. You're taking the definition from. Because a lot of times with society, it has one perspective that you're supposed to be this overly macho, this machismo, get all the women, I'll chase the money, chase the success, all that stuff. But if you look at what does God say about who a man is and what is he supposed to be, his responsibility. And I believe that with responsibility, there's a multitude of things. Like I'm a father, I'm a husband. So my responsibility is to my wife and my kids, my household. You know, sure. I'm supposed to do everything that God has placed in me and told me to do to make sure that their lives are comfortable, make sure that I have everything they need and some of what they want. And it's got to be all cultivated by what God has pushed is destined for the man to be within the family unit. Because society is going to say, oh, get money, get women, success, and not necessarily be irresponsible, but it doesn't put a big onus on the responsibility part.
Very true.
I agree. I guess we really do have to put a definition on what is a man, though.
Yes.
I mean, because when we look at it, just look at what's going on in society now. Mm-hmm. The overarching question is, on one hand, you have the question of what is a woman? Mm-hmm. So on the inverse, we got to also ask, what is a man?
That's true.
Okay, so how do we define that? I think you just raised a good question. Like, how does we see what society tries to label men as, but what does scripture, how does God want to define that? Mm-hmm. Protector, provider. I think when we also look throughout the scriptures, you see men of prayer, so they lead their family spiritually.
Yep.
If they're protected, they're willing to fight. You know, you gotta have you need to have that side of you. Not saying you gotta go looking for a fight, but if the need arises, are you able to do that? You know, so I think we have to. How do we define that? And then going even further though, what does that look like? What is that going to look like going forward as we move on?
Because if we look at society right now, society is always going to go against what God says.
Always.
You know, we understand that Satan is the, kind of like the prince of the,
prince of the air.
Yeah, he has a lot of influence on what's going on around here.
Very true.
On this earth, I mean, we're all sinful people. So if we don't take God's stance on what manhood is, womanhood is, Satan can come in and twist it. He always likes to pervert what God sets in order.
And it's already twisted.
It's already twisted. So my thing is, like, when it comes to men, I think so we have, I'm not going to go into that whole thing, but one of the most disrespectful things that you can do is try to be something that you're not. Whether that be a man try to be a woman or a woman try to be a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's one of the most disrespectful things, because I think if a man can say I'm a woman, like, you discredit what all women do. Like, they conceive children. That's a thing that they can do. Mm-hmm. I can't do that. Don't want to.
I'll back here and say I don't want no parts of that right now.
And a woman saying that I can be a man and do what men can do. Here's the thing. It's supposed to be a respect to the differences. Yeah. And we're never to discredit what the other has the ability to do by saying, oh, what I do is harder. Because there's a level of difficulty with both sides.
Very true.
And I had a moment with this the other day. So I was putting my son's bed together, and I was reading the instructions. And, I got this. So I kind of put the instructions away, and I'm like, man, this is not working. So I put it down. A couple of days later, my wife is in there doing the same thing, and she's getting it to work. And I got part of it together, and I was putting the two pieces together, and I'm like, something's off here. Well, one of the babysitters was like, hey, turn the feet of the bed this way. So she saw it. I turned it. It fit perfectly. Mm-hmm. Now, I shot to the next room and say, babe, I'm sorry. It was human error. Reason being, my wife had did so much extra work to try to make my error correct. She went to Home Depot. She went to the store we bought the bed from. Complained. They gave her a new bedpost. She ended up bringing us to the house. It still didn't fit. So she went and bought wood from Home Depot. Had them cut it the correct way. It still didn't fit. But when I came back and that womanly perspective saw my error and we fixed it, the original stuff worked. And if I was a prideful person, I would have said, man, I could have got that right. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciated the woman perspective on the situation, because yes, I was in error. If I was someone who prides myself on being a man, like being that cultural, that societal, I don't need help, or I could do it, I would have discredited that insight. So you see what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be an appreciation for both sides.
And I think that's probably all three of us are men. Mm-hmm. That's something I think we all have to deal with and have dealt with, is putting their pride down enough so we can be vulnerable to, like, hey, I need help. Hey, I messed up. I can't, or not even if it's something simple as that, or what if it's something. So my pastor, shout out to Apostle Ryan McGimsey, something he said some years ago. Men tend to go into a cave, and a lot of times, if we're not careful, sometimes we gotta go into that cave we retreat there so we can kind of gather our thoughts, we can kind of get ourselves together. Nothing wrong with that. But what if you stay in that cave too long? You stay in that cave too long, now the people that's outside the cave that needs to help you, or is there that's on your team to help you, they don't know what's going on. You're not talking, and it could cause you might end up going to depression, or you might get so locked into your pride. I think even the book of Job talks about how, I think it's chapter 41 or 42, where it talks about Leviathan and how the spirit of pride. And I think one of those verses mean like the scales of pride are so tight that no air can get in. So pride it'll have you so locked in, like. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that word air in its original Hebrew meaning it's another word for the spirit of God. So you're so prideful and so locked in and so tight.
You can't get in.
You can't get even God himself can't even get in.
Yeah, he resists the pride.
Exactly. So I mean, I think for dealing with this topic of men and us being vulnerable, like at some point, come to your cave, but you're gonna have to come out so you can get your help. And sometimes you just need to come out so you can just live life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and society doesn't. They don't preach that about being vulnerable. Man, being vulnerable. Because we're always supposed to put this hardened shell and persona on, and to be vulnerable in society means weakness. When actually in God, being vulnerable is a strength. Because in our weakness, He is made strong. Which, in a sense, if the Spirit of God lives within you, as His Spirit is strengthened, you are strengthened as well.
What did David say too? I mean, David said, "God is near to those who have a broken heart and have a contrite spirit." So you have to be their brokenness, that being vulnerable, and take it from me. I'm for your audience, like that. Let the fire go, like, bro.
Listen, I'm telling you, like everything that we're talking about, like the vulnerability and everything, I had to learn all that at the age of 31 when I got married. Cause like before that, I was going the way society had told us to be, how to be a man. That's what I thought a man should be.
Yeah.
And becoming married, man, it broke me down so bad. I was like, bro, this is, as you say, your pastor, Apostle Ryan McGimsey, he was my counselor. Like, just every session with him was breaking down off of me of what society was coming in. And now me and my wife get counseled by the Clevelands.
Hey, that was my pastor.
Okay,
yeah, shout out to Angel Cleveland.
Yeah. So what you were saying about appreciating your wife for the details, like I just went through that, like a section like that, because my focus was so much on what I had to do for the family that I wasn't focusing on all the things that she does for our family. And it was like I was neglecting and overlooking her because pride, like you said, pride had set in. And like you said, it becomes so tight to where you don't see nothing else but yourself.
That's it.
So man. Yeah.
And to be honest, like all three of us are married. I'm still, and for me, I'm still learning this lesson of, being vulnerable. Reaching out for help. If we be honest, I think every man is going to be different.
True.
But, I'm still learning. Marriage is a journey. Like, I'm trying to remember that as you were talking, it was somebody. I don't know if it was a former member at our church, but one of the things I heard them say is something along the lines of, if you want to be, basically, if you really want to be like Christ, get married, because I even think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Paul mentioned it in Ephesians, where this is a great mystery in Ephesians 5, where he's talking about marriage, and he's showing the difference of husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Wives, submit to your husbands. So within that dynamic, you're becoming more like Christ. And that's a
and the thing about it is, like, when you said, like, what you just said, a husband loves your wives as Christ loved the church. You have to really know how much Christ loved his church for you to love your wife. I mean, he loved it in and out, no matter what state it was in. Yeah. He loved them no matter what. I was watching a couple the other day. I seen it on a reel or whatever, and I seen this man. He was like, when we first got married, my wife, he didn't know that his wife was struggling with drugs, and she had got so bad to the point to where she would go months and months of missing, and he couldn't find her, and all that type of stuff. Wow. And even in front of everybody, he said, "I still loved you the same way I loved you when I first got married." And I was like, that's it for me. I was like, that is amazing, because we don't really understand how much Christ loved the church, that he doesn't give up. So when you get married, you don't give up. You got to keep.
And see that, and that's another thing with so I guess we are going to be merging the two topics. Yeah. The societal perceptions.
Yeah.
So what we have to understand is, for your audience who may not know about, one of the things that we try to do with our platform is we try to have cultural conversations from a biblical worldview. So society says basically that marriage is I'm seeing now marriage like a business partnership, or marriage is
trial and error.
Whatever,
a free trial thing.
But biblically speaking,
30 days, you over with.
Whenever you feel like you want to check out.
But biblically speaking, marriage is a covenant. And what we have to realize is, in God's eyesight, a covenant is something that is binding unto death. So once you get into that marriage, it's you and her to death do you part, is what the vows say. You gotta rock it out.
There are things that do transpire that we believe that God will allow separation to ensue. Not saying, but go ahead.
But I also think too, even with that, if we as a church, if we properly and biblically taught how to enter into relationships and then enter into the marriage, we could probably not
avoid
that 33% of Christians who are in that divorce category.
It's over 50%.
It's 50? Oh, it's over?
Over
wow.
50%.
So that drops to zero. But the thing is we have to understand, one, that love is not a feeling, it's a person. And that person gets to define what love is.
God is love.
Love is not God. God is love. Because when we say that, we try to give our own personal definition and place that definition on God, when it's the other way around. God places himself on that definition. So everything that he says in his word is law in love.
Yep.
And then, you know, what I don't like about the church a lot of times is, people in the church that get married, they say, God told me this was my husband. God told me this was my wife. Okay, if God told you, how come 30 days after the marriage, God told me to leave? Hold up.
God's word is not going to return to him void.
Yeah, God ain't bipolar. He don't switch up. We the ones that switch up.
He's not schizophrenic. No offense to anybody that might be dealing with that. We want to put
yeah.
God is not that.
Well, he don't change like that.
Yeah.
that's the thing about it is we tend to take our limited intellect and walk that out, when we should take God who is infinite in wisdom, and walk that out.
Yep.
It's like we're simple by nature, so anything that we try to do is if it's not ordered by the steps of God, we're gonna mess it up. We're gonna mess it up.
I think too. We have the priorities mixed up because Matthew, what was it? Matthew 6, seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness, and then all these other things be added. Now, here's one thing we probably don't hear a whole lot of. It didn't say seek ye only. It just said seek ye first. So that means we need to filter all of our decisions through, okay, how does God feel about this? What does his word say about this? If we filter that, if we filter our relationships through how God sees this thing, if we filter how we handle our finances, if we filter how we view politics, if we filter all this through God's lenses, then we'll be able to make better and more wise decisions. But when we try to filter through our own mind, what we want, how we think it's supposed to be, we're gonna probably get off.
And you said the key words, what we want and how we feel it should be.
Yeah.
And anytime we always put what we want, don't get me wrong, God says he'll give you the desires of your heart according to his riches and glory. And that part.
But what's the first part of that verse though? First part of that verse is delight yourself in the Lord.
Yeah.
So
that's what he could give you.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times what we desire is not what his heart desires.
There you go. And the thing is, he is never going to give you something that's going to take you away from him.
Never.
If your desire, if you're delighting in the Lord, then you're going to want the things of God. You're not going to want anything that's going to carry you away. And God will never give you something that's going to carry you away.
Right.
I remember I was telling somebody about blessings. I was like, the blessings of the Lord, they make one rich and carry no sorrow. Right? So if you got to go outside of God to get something, I guarantee you're going to stress over it because God didn't give it to you. So now I got to work extra hard.
To keep it.
When God blesses you, you ain't really got to do much work. Like you still got to work, but God will give you the direction, how to maintain it and how to, keep it going. And like when we go get we make these selfish purchases, and I've done it before in my life. And I'm like, man, I can't pay. Like after a while, you're like, man, this is a hassle to keep up.
But who you telling?
It wouldn't, if it was truly a blessing from God, you would just be in a regular routine. It wouldn't add no sorrow, no stress, or no constraint to you.
Man, and that's so true because like even just recently, like I had lost my job. I say, okay, God. I say, I know I lost my job, but you are the source. So I know you could provide a means for me. And me and my wife we only operating off of one car right now. And so the job that I got now, it pays more than where I was at. The days and the hours are way better than where I was at. And it's on the same schedule with me and my wife is on. So we go to work and get off at the same time. And then not only that, I say, Lord, I pray, I say, Lord, if you're going to provide me with a job, I know you could provide me with the transportation.
There you go.
Our executive pastor called me the other day, said his brother is going back into the military and he just going to have an extra car sitting around. He was like, I'm just going to give it to you. So,
listen.
So like you said, the blessings, I'm like you said, it don't add in no sorrow. It's not hurting our pockets. I ain't got to pay for no extra car.
It make none of that. You get to hold on to money. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So yeah, man, like you said, it don't add no sorrow, man. It's just gonna keep going, and it's like a smooth transaction. Like that's all it is.
That's it. You do your regular work, God take care of the rest.
Yeah,
that's it.
One of my favorite preachers, I follow Perry Stone. I heard him say one time during a prayer service they had, "It's God's will, it's God's bill."
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it, man.
I believe in that. Believe in that wholeheartedly. harder. So embracing vulnerability. Why do you all think it's so hard for people to be vulnerable?
Vulnerability. Woo! It calling you to break down those walls, those walls, man. Let people into those innermost guts of you, like the stuff that's not pretty at all. Like even with accountability, like you have to be able to put your pride aside and say, "Hey, I have this that I'm dealing with." Yeah. And when you're unable to do that, you can't be vulnerable. Like you have to be willing to show the ugly to people, the stuff that you struggle with, like the innermost ugly innards of you, whatever that look like. You got to lay it out there for people to see it, or for your circle, or people who hold you accountable to see it.
Oh yeah, I figure it ain't for everybody now.
It ain't for everybody. Everybody can't take it.
I think, for one, when you enter into relationships, you have to be willing to take risk.
That's it.
If you're not willing to take risk in a relationship, then you're not going to be vulnerable, or you're not going to be willing to be vulnerable. The other thing too, though, you, on the other hand, as far as you being vulnerable to someone, you have to understand, or don't be in such a rush to be in a relationship with someone, and then you spilling all your inner, and you haven't even gotten to know this person.
Right.
Very true.
So, and I think we're in such a, with everything's going on in society, people want to be, they want to be connected. They want to be validated. They want to be affirmed. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but we need to learn how to, take our time, get to know this person. In order for the relationship to really grow, you're gonna have to go through some stuff. You got to go through a little bit of adversity. Let me see if I don't have no money, can you still rock with me and be cool with me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I even think too, if we look at it from a biblical standpoint, you had in the temple and the tabernacle, all that, you had the outer court, you had the inner court, you had the Holy of Holies.
Yeah.
Everybody could rock with you on the outer court.
Yeah.
God didn't let everybody in the inner court. The only ones that can go in there, only ones that can go in the inner court was just the priest and the high priest. And you get into the innermost part, one person that can go in there. So the closer people get to your innermost part of you, you need to really be assessing, okay, is this person really worthy enough to be in this part? That's why I think it's not good for you to have, it's good for you to have, have your connections, but you got 10 best friends?
Nah.
My close people, I can probably count on one hand my close people.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
The people that I know, y'all know I love Jesus, but if you hear me saying expletive because I'm frustrated, you're not gonna look at me no different. But you still gonna look me in the face. All right, Reese, yeah, you're wrong, but let's work this out. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You know what it talks about in Proverbs? It talks about what's it say about I want to make sure I get this right. It says there are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sits closer than a brother.
Yeah.
So, and we talked about this in a podcast one time, and I was like, see, the thing about a brother is I don't get to choose who my siblings are. My parents, I don't get to choose. My friends, I have to choose those, meaning that I have to assess character. So, me being able to choose Maurice as my friend means that I've assessed his character. And I'm in a sense, my character's on the line because I chose him to be a friend. Right. Like brothers and siblings, like sisters, you don't get to choose that. That's something that just happens with your parents, Sure. But a friend is someone I gotta put my neck on the line for. So I'm saying, like,
very true.
And that's like that. Like,
yeah. And like y'all was saying, most of it comes with trust. Yep. Like just trusting. And I feel like a a lot of times why people can't be vulnerable to is like just how they grew up.
Oh yeah.
Like how you grew up and like for me, like growing up, the people that I opened up to, it was always a slap back in the face. So it for me, I was closed off. Like I only let you get so close, I might tell you a little bit, but you ain't going all the way. Like you said, in the holies of holies, it's like, nah, because it's like, I know you my friend, but can I trust you with the innermost part of me and you not bring it back or slap it back in my face or anything like that. So like that's something I know I had to learn, especially being in marriage. You know you gotta get all of it out. And you know, like you said, for me, I know I only got 2 people besides my wife that I know I could like, y'all, I'm finna spill it all out. And y'all just listen. And then get me back together after a while.
And like, you gotta think about it too. Like when you don't have that growing up, you know, it causes you, like you said, it causes you to be closed off. So you have to have those positive, I guess, a positive representation of what vulnerability is. In order to do that, and think about it, a lot of times marriages crumble because of communication.
Very true.
Vulnerability is communication. Is being able to communicate what I'm truly feeling. And a lot of times, even with expectation in marriages, that's what it causes. One thing is uncommunicated expectation. You have to be vulnerable to talk about what your expectation is with marriage, and allow a person on the other side of you to be able to, one, either accept that or reject that. Because what happens is we don't communicate what we want, and we're not being vulnerable in that sense. And then when we get married, we're expecting a person to meet our demands when we ain't communicating.
You're not a mind reader.
Right.
Very true.
And women too, because y'all like read my mind. No.
And you know, the one thing I had to learn when it comes to the marriage communications, you and your spouse have to build a healthy communication of how y'all going to communicate together.
And you build that through your courtship.
Yeah. And you can't communicate with your wife how you communicate with your mom, your brother, or how you've been communicating. No, y'all two come into one. So now y'all got to sit down. This is how we communicate. And I feel like that's where a lot of marriages fail at, because they don't have that communication. They want to do the things he want to do the way that he always been doing. She want to do the way that she always been doing, and they don't never come together.
Right. I know when me and my wife got married, we were like, man, we want to set our own traditions when it comes to the holidays.
That's good.
And that's a perfect thing because it's 2 families coming together through us. Yeah. So now it's like, all right, so you got a family, I got a family, Thanksgiving's coming up. What are we doing? Right. Because you gotta discuss that, because it's like, like, well, I want to go with my family. I want to go with my family. Friction. Oh, Christmas is coming up. I want to go with my family. So I know for me and my wife, we were like, all right, so look, we'll do Christmas with my family, and we'll do Thanksgiving with your family, and the next year we'll flip it. Or we just invite everybody over.
Very true. Yeah. That's about the best way right there.
That's the best way. That's the best way. That way both, I mean, outside of the wedding, that's the only time you get both your sides together.
That's it, yeah.
You know, most of the time it's like, oh, holiday, we're going over here. But my wife's from low country, so it's kind of hard to do that. So now I gotta like, hey, we gotta pack it up and head down to Walsboro, or we just stay here. But right. even we're here,
but that's low country. That's low country.
But even here though, like, I mean, it's my dad's side of the family, my mom's side of the family, and it's trying to like get all that together. It's a lot of communication has to happen. Yeah, because somebody, the family's got to understand. Somebody gonna be disappointed because you're not gonna see me 1 year on this holiday. All right. I might FaceTime you, but you know. But that's what the communication comes.
Very true, very true. What is Well, y'all probably gonna have to help me with this. Cultural fears. What do you feel cultural fears has done? I would say in the church, or has done to believers.
Ooh, okay. We kind of talked about this earlier. We God has a standard, and a lot of times we want to how do I say this? We want to lax on the standard to be accepted by everybody.
That's good. That's good right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the PG version. That one I talk about.
Yeah, that's just
but that was me being politically correct right there. But it happens. We want, like, my thing is this. I believe God, is very loving, but he don't love everybody because everybody don't love him. So remember, he says, Jacob, I love Esau, I hate it. So what if, though we try to say hate, we try to say love the sinner, hate the sin. But here's the thing, though. If we're operating in sin, then that is contrary to God. So we're operating in something that God hates. So in a sense, we're hateful God because we're operating in sin. And a lot of times we use that slogan to get people in. But let's be real. Like, if you operate in sin willingly and knowingly, God hates that. He loves you, but at the same time, he don't accept that. Especially if you know better. Especially if you know better.
And we all know better.
We know better. If you grew up in church,
you know
what God hates.
You know it.
If it was accurately being preached.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah, if it was accurately being preached. Yeah.
But for me, that's what I feel like. And I have a saying that the church is an indirect reflection of society. And what do I mean by that? A lot of foolishness goes on in the church, but what we see in society, foolishness. A lot of foolishness. And literally, like, we're supposed to be the trendsetters of culture, kingdom culture. We're supposed to carry out that, but church has its own culture. And a lot of us that grew up in church know the song and dance. We know that we dress it up, but on Sundays for that one special day, we put on our happy feet. We do the shout, we do the hooping and hollering. But come Monday through Saturday,
after church.
After church, soon as you step out the doors, like soon as you step out the doors, you ain't using Perez no more.
I heard a pastor say, yo, after Sunday, your strongest day at least should be Monday. Should be Monday. But for me, I feel like that's your true testament if you truly love God or not. Because if you're gonna keep doing what he despises for you to do, what he hates for you to do, it's like, do you really love him?
Yeah. Because if sacrifice has already been made, what else is there to sacrifice? I believe it says something about that in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, if you know for a fact this is wrong and you keep doing it, what else do I have to sacrifice to get you to me?
He ain't getting up on that cross.
He's not. It's already been done. He said it is written.
It's done. It's finished.
Like, no, like, it's already done. Like, when you, oh man, and that's the thing about. I'm a big proponent of the word repent, because a lot of times we just think it's me confessing to God that. But every Sunday we back at the altar, we on our face, we snot nose, we crying, but there's no change taking place. But repent means to change of heart, change of mind, which means changing my direction. So it also makes me look at my sin that I was in and I despise it because God despises it.
Very true.
If I am sitting here and I just every other day I'm falling back into the same habitual rut that I'm always in, and then Sunday comes around, I'm up there crying, oh, forgive me, deliver me. what am I like? What transformation is taking place? Because to be in Christ is you're supposed to be a new creation, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to be a new creation.
Yeah.
But
2 Corinthians.
But my thing is like, are we accurately talking of like preaching that? Because I know growing up, sometimes you be like, oh, repent means, oh, you just ask forgiveness. And I can just keep running back, which you can, because God is rich in mercy and grace.
But that grace ran out.
Eventually.
That grace ran out. Yes. And I think it's just, like you said, you keep coming to the altar, so you're not really repenting, you just remorseful for what you're doing. And then when you get into church, you just have the emotions, and the emotions are high, and it gets you, and that's why you keep going back, because of the you get a touch of God, but you don't let God live inside of you. Woo. So that's why you keep coming back. It's like a drug.
Yeah.
You just get your fix and go back out, mess up, come back again. Yep. That's all it is. Yeah.
I think to kind of add an addendum to what Teresa said, I think probably the thing that I would say is a cultural fear in the church is we're afraid to offend.
Ooh. Oh yeah, definitely.
Because here's my, if we are properly teaching and declaring what the scriptures say, not God's truth. What does God's truth say? Because we're in an age now where it's my truth and it's your truth, but what does God's truth say?
The truth.
He is the absolute truth. He embodies what truth is. So if we're really declaring what he has already said, and if we're properly teaching it, the truth is going to offend, but we're not trying to intentionally offend the person. Mm. So when you're declaring truth, you're going to bring offense. There's just no way around it. And I think what we're afraid of is the confrontation that comes with. There's probably going to be a backlash because you're declaring truth. We see it now. There's a church down in Atlanta.
Oh yes.
I can't remember the church's name, but I know the pastor's name is Miles Rutherford. And during Pride Month, he did like a whole series on people that have come out of the LGBTQ, whatever the other letters are. No offense to all of y'all.
What's his name again?
Miles Rutherford. He's one of our Caucasian brethren.
But the man be on fire.
Yeah, he be bringing it. But during Pride Month, he had each week he had testimonies of people who have come out of their lifestyle, and he was getting backlash after backlash after backlash. But he stood firm on the truth of what God said. He's like, look, I'm not trying to condemn anybody, but this is what God says. Mm-hmm. He made you male, he made you female. He said marriage is supposed to be between a man and a woman. It's not right for us to be it's not right for us to allow society to just say, your son can now become your daughter, or your daughter can now become your son. He said, no, this is what God says. He said, he made you a male, he made you a female. This is the truth that we're standing on. Mm-hmm. He caught all kind of backlash about that, but he stood on that. And I think the issue that we have with the church is we're afraid of the confrontation that comes with us declaring truth. But it Jesus, who is truth, he had confrontation. The 12 disciples or the 12 apostles in the book of Acts, they dealt with confrontation.
Which ultimately led to some of their deaths.
Exactly. Yeah. You're gonna deal with it when you are a carrier of truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's not that we're the ones it's God's word that is offending the spirit of confusion. That's what it is.
And the thing about it is, it ain't even offense. It's just for you to get right. It's not offense. Offense is a choice. It's the truth. It's the truth. And that's the thing about it. People don't want the truth. They hate the truth, so they got to find some type of way to combat it with something. But at the end of the day, it is the truth. It's really not offense. It's for you to get your life right. Right. For you to get your soul right.
I mean, even scripture, Jesus said, what did he say? He said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The assignment of truth is to bring you to freedom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the assignment of truth. Now, and let's be real. I've said it multiple times on our platform. I want the truth above anything else. even if the truth is something is going to lead me to a place that I don't like the fact that it's going to lead me that place, but I know the truth.
Yeah.
You know, the truth is, Reese, if you don't cut out all this sugar, the diabetes is running in your family, it's probably going to catch up to you, bro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Truth is very uncomfortable. And it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Because it's something that's contrary to what your sinful nature wants.
Yeah.
God, every time God gives a command or something, it's something that is unnatural. Like he says, husbands, love your wives. Well, we know for a fact that it is hard for men to love. And it says women submit to your husbands. Well, we understand submission is a form of respect. And it's easy for a woman to love, but it's hard for her to respect. And God, he always gives something that's going to cause us to wrestle. Like, that's not natural to me, God. Like, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you like him. It's not supposed to make you like the person you are or somebody else. It's supposed to make you like God ultimately.
Very true. Very true. Well, I'm gonna bring them on for part 2. Sooner or later. So y'all just please type in the comments what y'all liked about this episode, what you did like about this episode. Subscribe to the channel, follow us on the social media platforms. If y'all could let them know where they could follow y'all and everything of that nature as well.
So we're on IG, on Instagram at high_definition_podcast. We're also on YouTube at High Definition Podcast. If you go to our YouTube page and our YouTube videos, you'll actually see a link tree link in the description, and it has links to everywhere you can contact us. Of course, we're also on Facebook. You want to hop in our inbox, or you have a question or a topic you may want to hear our perspective on, we're more than happy to hear what you have to say.
And we love, reviews. We don't tolerate disrespect, though. Don't be disrespectful. Like, but criticism. Just don't disrespect.
Just so I can just let you people know, the main thing that for our platform, we just want to introduce conversation and have conversation, different opinions, because we just, especially a lot of the topics that we just don't hear the church talk a lot about. That's one of the things we really aim to have with our platform. So that's why we have the discussion that we talk about. So.
Yeah,
sure. And I'm telling y'all, it's a real good platform, good podcast. I listen to it all the time. I just got to listen to the episode y'all was talking about Jamal Bryant.
Oh,
that episode right now. Hey, y'all need to go check that one out. But y'all, again, remember, fear keeps you in bondage and faith pushes you to your destiny. Y'all have a good one.